वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे। पर धुके उपकार करे तो ये मनि अभिमान नाने रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने सकल लोक मन सहुने वंदे। निंदा न करे के नीरे। वाच काच मन निश्चल राखे। धन धन जननी तेनी रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे। पर दुखे उपकार करे तो ये मन अभिमान नाने रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराए जाने रे।
I don't think this is working. Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Pragya Tiwari. That was Supriya Nagarajan singing Vaishnav Jan to Tene Kahiye, a 15th century poem in Old Gujarati by Narsingh Mehta that was adopted by Mahatma Gandhi as his favorite bhajan. 76 years ago on this day, Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated. And this session, which is one of the first sessions happening at the Jaipur Literature Festival 2025, we commemorate the man and his ideas. It's a tribute of sorts, if you will. And over the next 40-odd minutes, you're going to be hearing some readings, some thoughts, and some more music. We're not going to be having a discussion, so to speak, so there'll be no Q&A. The idea is for us to take a moment, and for you to take a moment, to sit with Mahatma Gandhi's words and his thoughts, and sort of reflect on the life of this man who played such a significant role in shaping the consciousness of our great nation. But first, a clip from a film about his last journey.
On the 30th of January, 1948, Gandhi left a discussion with Patel for a 5 p.m. prayer meeting, bidding his last goodbye to him. Since he was running late, Gandhi took a shortcut to the waiting crowd and his assassin. Standing front, wearing a military-style khaki dress, was Nathuram Godse, who greeted Gandhi with folded hands. Gandhi returned his greetings. That would be his last act on earth. In a swift movement, Godse fired 3 bullets into Gandhi. There was a shocked silence before the enormity of what had happened began to sink in. In the melee, no one had really noticed the man who had fired the fatal shots. The pocket watch Gandhi wore was shattered. It stood frozen at 5:17 p.m. Devdas removed Gandhi's clothes one by one during the last ritualistic bath by the family. Those present could see 3 clear bullet marks. The first one on the right side of his abdomen, 2.5 inches above the navel, and the second an inch to the right. While bathing the body, these 2 bullets were found lodged in Gandhi's shoulder. The third and fatal bullet was embedded in his lungs. It would only be found 27 hours later, when the ashes were being gathered from the cold pyre.
That clip is from a film, which is a companion piece to the illustrated biography of Gandhi that Pramod ji has written. Pramod ji, would you perhaps want to talk about or read about Gandhi's final hours from your book?
Shall I?
You can read it from here. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, of course, of course. Please.
The final hours and the premonition of death. Gandhi often talked about living up to 125 years or more. But on 29 January, the day before his assassination, he was unusually eloquent about mortality and his own death. On the day, members of the Nehru family had arrived at Birla House around lunchtime. They included Jawaharlal's sister Krishnamati Singh, his daughter Indira, with a 4-year-old son Rajiv, as well as Sarojini Naidu. They headed straight for the garden where Gandhi was basking in the sun, looking up at the approaching group, all wearing brightly colored saris. He greeted them, saying, "So the princesses have come to see me." In the winter, Gandhi enjoyed eating lunch in the garden at Birla House. He stayed there when he was in Delhi, and he held a daily evening prayer there. About her last meeting with Gandhi, Krishnamati Singh later wrote, "Gandhi looked exceedingly well that day. His bare brown body was absolutely glowing. When Rajiv picked up flowers that visitors had brought for Mahatma and started wrapping them around Gandhi's feet, the Mahatma playfully pulled the young boy's ear and said, 'You must not do that. One only puts flowers around the dead people's feet.'" They were followed by a group of villagers from Bannu, which is now in the northwest frontier, who had suffered communal attacks and lost their homes. One agitated member of the group shouted at Gandhi, "You have done enough harm. You have ruined us utterly. Leave us alone and take your abode in the Himalaya." That evening, while walking to his prayer meeting, he confided in Manu Ben, "The pitiful cries of these people is like the voice of God. Take this as a death warrant for you and me." Later, while speaking at the prayer meeting, he declared, "God will do what he wills. He may take me away. I shall not find peace in the Himalayas. I want to find peace in the midst of turmoil, or I want to die in the turmoil. Finally, there was an uncharacteristic outburst of anger at having to take the pills his doctors had prescribed for his bad cough. If I were to die of disease or even a pimple, you must shout to the world from the housetops that I was a false Mahatma. Then my soul, wherever it may be, will rest in peace. But if any explosion took place or somebody shot at me, and this is, mind you, just about 24 hours before he was shot at me, I received his bullet on my bare chest without a sigh and with Rama's name in my lips. Only then you should say I was a true Mahatma. If this was a premonition, it was so eerily accurate that it was prophetic. Just a few hours earlier, he had said to Manu Ben, who knows what is going to happen before midnight, or even whether I shall be alive. On 30th January, Gandhi awoke at 3:30 a.m. He had a long and busy day ahead. At 3:45, he asked surprisingly for a rendition of the Gujarati bhajan, Thake na thake. I'm sorry, I don't know Gujarati, so I can't read it properly. But this was a Gujarati bhajan, which, whether tired or not, oh man, do not take rest. Stop not your struggle if single-handed continues. Shortly after, he started to work on revising the draft constitution for the reorganization of the Congress party. Nathuram Godse, about the same time, was also finishing the last piece he would ever write. Nathuram Godse's assassin. His own will and testament. A covering letter was addressed to his co-conspirator Narayan Apte and stated, "My mental condition is inflamed in the extreme so that it has become impossible to find any reliable way out of this political atmosphere. I have therefore decided for myself to adopt a last and extreme step. You will of course know in a day or two. I have decided to do what I want without depending on anyone." I'll later tell you that how 10 days before that there were a group of people who had tried to kill Gandhi. Gandhi meanwhile met Rajan Nehru, wife of Jawaharlal's nephew, R.K. Nehru, who was leaving for America that morning. At 8 a.m., it was time for his morning massage, during which he made some last-minute corrections to the draft of the new constitution for Congress before handing it over to his trusted secretary, Pyare Lal. Then it was time for his daily Bengali lesson. He was learning Bengali, having learned so many other languages, and not just spoken, but also script he used to learn. Bengali lessons, both written and spoken, which he took from his grandniece Abba Gandhi. His morning bath was accompanied by a check on his weight, which that morning was 109 pounds, 49.6 kilograms. He was very upset with himself if he ever crossed 50 kilograms. He showed a healthy appetite for breakfast, which comprised exactly 12 ounces of goat's milk, a cup of boiled vegetables and radishes and ripe tomatoes, as well as a glass of orange and carrot juice. This was followed by a medicinal concoction of ginger, sour lime, and aloe vera. After resting for a while, Gandhi got up and walked towards bathroom. Manu said, "Bapu, how strange you look," referring to the fact that he had not gone anywhere recently without his walking stick, that is Manu and Abba. Gandhi responded, quoting Rabindranath Tagore, "Ekla chalo, walk alone, the last walk he would ever take alone." And that had begun. Sometime later, Margaret Bourke-White, the famous American photographer, who accompanied him for the last, I think, 1 year, she was working with Life magazine, arrived for an interview. It would turn out to be Gandhi's last interview. Among her questions was, do you stick to your desire to live up to 125 years? To which, to this Gandhi replied, I have lost all that hope because of the terrible happening in the world. Gandhi also received the well-known French photographer Henri Cartier-Bresson, who presented him with an album of his photographs. His last meeting of the day was with Sardar Patel, which began at 4 p.m. Patel came with his daughter Manu Ben, and I think that you have seen in the film, so I don't need to repeat that. What I do want to say is that I would take it to 12th of January when Gandhiji announced fast unto death. It was a surprise to everyone except Lord Mountbatten, who had actually also encouraged him for this fast, because it was ostensibly for Hindu-Muslim unity around the partition time. But at the same time, it was also announced to the press by him that 55 crores that the government of India owed to Pakistan, which was agreed by the cabinet to be given to Pakistan, was held back because Pakistan had attacked with the Afridi tribe, in Kashmir. So when that happened, when it came on the ticker, Nathuram Godse and Gopal Godse and Narayan Apte, they were all running a newspaper in Pune called Hindu Rashtra. When they saw it on the ticker, they decided the man must go now. Because at a time when Pakistan was at war with us, he can't be pressing for 55 crores to be given to them. And that's when they planned. They first came on the 20th of January, where a group of 4 or 5 people, along with Madan Lal Pava, who was a refugee from Pakistan. The idea was to throw a bomb, create a melee, and they would go to the servants' quarter and shoot him from the ventilator, aiming from the ventilator. They were not professional killers, so they did everything. The bomb was thrown. There was all kinds of people running all around. But when they went to the servants' quarter, they realized that they could not reach the ventilator. So they couldn't shoot him that day. They all ran away. And only Madan Lal Pava was arrested. And he was interrogated. Gandhi had always refused his security. He didn't want any security. Even later, after this incident, he didn't want any security. At that time, Madan Lal Pava kept repeating that they will all come back. Wo sab wapas aayenge. They will all come back. But no one believed them. And of course, Gandhi was insistent that he will not take any security. So surely they came on the 30th, and this time Nathuram Godse thought he will do it all by himself and not take any help, and you know what happened. So that's all I have to say about his assassination and what happened in the last 24 hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Pramodji. I'm now going to invite Tripurdaman Singh. I'm sorry I'm not taking any time to introduce my co-panelists. Their bios are online and they've both done extensive work, so you can look them up. But I'll invite Tripurdaman Singh to read something written by Gandhi and contextualize it perhaps for us.
Yes, I am moving slightly away from what Pramodji spoke about to focus on Gandhi, the man. And this is an extract from his autobiography. And he's at this point reminiscing about his time as when he worked in the ambulance corps during the Zulu rebellion in South Africa, and much of the time that he had, as he talks about, he had extensive periods of solitude at that point to really reflect on his life. And at this point he writes about celibacy. And I will read the extract to you and then kind of share my thoughts about it, because I think it's really reflective of Gandhi the man. I pondered over brahmacharya and its implications, and my convictions took deep root. I discussed it with my co-workers. I had not realized then how indispensable it was for self-realization. But I clearly saw that one aspiring to serve humanity with his whole soul could not do without it. It was borne in upon me that I should have more and more occasions for service of the kind I was rendering, and that I should find myself unequal to my task if I were engaged in the pleasures of family life and in the propagation and rearing of children. In a word, I could not live both after the flesh and the spirit. On the present occasion, for instance, I should not have been able to throw myself into the fray had my wife been expecting a baby. Without the observance of brahmacharya, service of the family would be inconsistent with service of community. With brahmacharya, they would be perfectly consistent. And then there is another extract that I'm going to read, and this is from a letter to an unnamed correspondent, which has been published in his collected works. Gandhi engaged in a tremendous amount of correspondence with friends, with admirers, with critics. Much of it was also published in his journal, The Young Indian, which, as the title betrays, was his attempt to really engage with Indian youth and to make his thoughts and his experiments accessible to them. And this letter was written in 1928, and he says, "I cannot recall any dream. I never practiced masturbation. One cause of these discharges is, of course, my physical weakness, but I also know that there are impure desires deep down in me. I am able to keep out such thoughts during waking hours, but what is present in the body, like some hidden poison, always makes its way, even forcibly sometimes." And I guess for me the focus here is on Gandhi's body. Gandhi and Gandhi's philosophies are often looked at in terms of high political ideals, satyagraha, ahimsa, swaraj. But for Gandhi, I guess the most important political side, even more so than the sort of greater battle for independence that he was leading, was his own physical body. It was his body that he thought was both the prime side of his politics and, in a sense, the medium through which he and he thought everyone else really experienced the world. It kind of was the site which brought together the kind of high politics that he was engaging in with a very personalized experience of what that politics embodied. Celibacy and self-discipline were for him indispensable for the high politics that he was engaging in. So there was no dichotomy between the demand for independence and for freedom with an attempt to engage in really, really stern, iron self-discipline, of which celibacy was an extremely, extremely important part. And he wrote about his struggles with celibacy and with self-discipline extensively in his autobiography, in his correspondence, in his journals. And the idea for him was that the promotion of self-discipline, the promotion of celibacy, which was essentially the core of the self-discipline, would promote, through his own experiments, he sought to promote it in a way that would make it popular among, both among his compatriots, but also among the youth. In some ways, his kind of obsession with his body, both self-discipline, diet, was par for the course for that period in time. Even the fascists in Europe were obsessed with the body and the body as a site for politics. But Gandhi crafted such an interesting new grammar around it, because his idea was that this self-control, this self-discipline in itself is what would, in a sense, make a people fit for political freedom. It is what would qualify them for political freedom, and it is what would enable them to take that political freedom. And so there was first no dichotomy, but it was also an extremely essential part of the high politics that he was practicing. And a very good example of that, and it's actually, I find it quite surprising because a lot of people have never heard of it, was the experiment that was conducted in the small princely state of Ondh in Maharashtra, for which Gandhi actually wrote the constitution himself, and whose ruler, the Raja, was a great devotee of Gandhi. Interestingly, that was also the man, he was a man who practiced yoga and is credited with inventing the Surya Namaskar. And when the ruler of Ondh decided to create Gandhian democracy in his state and granted people what they call self-rule based on Gandhian principles, one of the key parts of his project was the fact that everyone, to be fit for freedom and to be qualified for freedom, would have to engage in yoga and would have to do the Surya Namaskar. And he actually deployed people to educate his subjects in these disciplines, because even he, inspired by Gandhi, thought that this self-discipline was in itself the core of political freedom, and without it there was really nothing. So I think I'll kind of leave it at that. Thank you.
I'm going to read something that threads together what Tripurdaman has spoken about and what Pramodji has spoken about. Gandhi's body as a site of politics, as well as the last fast that he undertook merely days before he was martyred. This is a declaration of that fast unto death that was undertaken from the 13th of January to the 18th of January 1948, ending 12 days before he was martyred, to urge for peace and communal harmony in newly independent India. One fasts for health's sake under laws governing health, fasts as a penance for a wrong done and felt as such. In these fasts, the fasting one need not believe in ahimsa. There is, however, a fast which a votary of non-violence sometimes feels impelled to undertake by way of protest against some wrong done by society. And this he does when he, as a votary of ahimsa, has no other remedy left. Such an occasion has come my way. When on September 9th I returned to Delhi from Calcutta, it was to proceed to the West Punjab, but that was not to be. Gay Delhi looked a city of the dead. As I alighted from the train, I observed gloom on every face I saw. Even the Sardar, whom humor and the joy that humor gives never desert, was no exception this time. The cause of it I did not know. He was on the platform to receive me. He lost no time in giving me the sad news of the disturbances that had taken place in the metropolis of the Union. At once I saw that I had to be in Delhi and do or die. There is apparent calm brought about by prompt military and police action, but there is storm within the breast. It may burst forth any day. This I count as no fulfillment of the vow to do, which alone can keep me from death, the incomparable friend. I yearn for heart friendship between the Hindus, the Sikhs, and the Muslims. It subsisted between them the other day. Today it is non-existent. It is a state that no Indian patriot worthy of that name can contemplate with equanimity. Though the voice within has been beckoning for a long time, I have been shutting my ears to it, lest it may be the voice of Satan, otherwise called my weakness. I never like to feel resourceless. A satyagrahi should never feel resourceless. Fasting is his last resort in the place of the sword, his or others. I have no answer to return to the Muslim friends who see me from day to day as to what they should do. My impotence has been gnawing at me of late. It will go immediately once the fast is undertaken. I ask you all to bless the effort and to pray for me and with me. The fast begins from the first meal tomorrow. The period is indefinite and I may drink water with or without salts and sour limes. It will end when and if I am satisfied that there is a reunion of hearts of all the communities brought about without any outside pressure, but from an awakened sense of duty. The reward will be the regaining of India's dwindling prestige and her fast fading sovereignty over the heart of Asia and there through the world. I flatter myself with the belief that the loss of her soul by India will mean the loss of the hope of the aching, storm-tossed and hungry world. Let no friend or foe, if there be one, be angry with me. There are friends who do not believe in the method of the fast for the reclamation of the human mind. They will bear with me and extend to me the same liberty of action that they claim for themselves. I plead for all absence of argument and inevitable endorsement of this step. If the whole of India responds, or at least Delhi does, the fast might be soon ended. But whether it ends soon or late or never, let there be no softness in dealing with what may be termed as a crisis. Critics have regarded some of my previous fasts as coercive and held that on merits the verdict would have gone against my stand but for the pressure exercised by the fasts. What value can an adverse verdict have when the purpose is demonstrably sound? A pure fast, like duty, is its own reward. I do not embark upon it for the sake of the result it may bring. I do so because I must. Hence, I urge everybody dispassionately to examine the purpose and let me die, if I must, in peace, which I hope is ensured. Death for me would be a glorious deliverance rather than that I should be a helpless witness of the destruction of India, Hinduism, Sikhism, and Islam. That destruction is certain if Pakistan ensures no equality of status and security of life and property for all professing the various faiths of the world, and if India copies her. Only then Islam dies in the two Indias, not in the world, but Hinduism and Sikhism have no world outside India. Those who differ from me will be honored by me for their resistance, however implacable. Let my fast quicken conscience, not deaden it. I would beg of all friends not to rush to Birla House, nor try to dissuade me or be anxious for me. I am in God's hands. Rather, they should turn the searchlights inwards, for this is essentially a testing time for all of us. Those who remain at their post of duty and perform it diligently and well, now more so than hitherto, will help me and the cause in every way. The fast is a process of self-purification. So Gandhi issued this declaration. He took on a fast the next day. He ended the fast on the 18th of January, if I'm not getting my dates mixed up, when delegations of representatives from all different faiths, major faiths, the administration, leaders of national stature came to see him to assure him that there would be all kinds of efforts made to ensure peace and communal harmony in Delhi and also in the rest of the country. However, merely 12 days from when he broke his fast, he was shot dead. And I'm going to end by reading two lines written by the poet Majaz on his passing in Urdu. Hindu chala gaya, na Musalman chala gaya, इंसान की जुस्तजू में एक इंसान चला गया रक्सा चला गया न गज़ल ख्वां चला गया सोज़ गुदास व दर्द में गलता चला गया. Thank you everyone, and we're going to end with Judith Albuquerque and Avi Croy singing Abide With Me, which you heard earlier today.